With the surprising retirement of David Jakes in the previous race, Grant Riddall has a stranglehold on the points championship. With only 4 races to go, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jason White, and welcome to round 5 of the 1980 Procar Series, and this is at Brands Hatch. Cars are heading around the circuit right now. Actually, what I meant to say was 4 races after this one, because it is a 9-race series. And I am joined in the booth by Alberto Ibañez and via in-car audio, Jonatan Acerclinth. Jonathan and Alberto, good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So this is round 5 of the, I'm getting an echo, guys, from one of you. Not
That'll
sure
be
who.
me. Give me a moment.
This is round 5 out of 9. Let's take a look at the driver's points very quickly. As I mentioned in the intro, David Jakes left the race with a disco issue. I believe he had a power failure locally where he was, and that essentially allowed Grant to take a real stranglehold on the championship. Right now he has 72 points to David Jakes' 40. Tiago Canola is only 1 point behind Jakes at 39. Jakob Fredriksson is in 4th with 36, but crucially he will not be in today's race. So that'll have a real detrimental effect on his championship hopes. Austin Johnson, who has since withdrawn from the series, has 27 points. Looking at the track itself, this is a track that most of us are familiar with, Brands Hatch. We're doing the full layout today, not just the Indy section. It's a 2.614 mile road course. We're going to be going for 30 laps, or a little over 78 miles. So as far as this course is concerned, what do you think we can expect from the cars and the drivers, Alberto?
Well, this is not a very long course. It was used by the Formula One till I think it was even in the 80s at some point, but it's not an overall long course. At this point it had been modernized a bit, and we should be seeing traffic at some point here, because even if there's a few laps only, you will have, there are many differences in lap times. The guys on the top, Grant Riddall, are going very quick, and we should be seeing some lapping that will of course affect the driving for the top contenders. And well, there's something crucial that Jonatan has alerted us to, and that's tire wear, especially on the rear. We should be seeing that the tires will be burning a lot, the rear tires, and they will become more and more skittish as the race progresses. I'm not sure to what extent saving tires will be so crucial here, because, as we said, these are very, very short races compared to a Grand Prix. Obviously, it's under 1 hour of racing, but still, we should be seeing some probably surprises towards the end for those who have not conserved the tires properly.
Yeah, we just finished the qualifying session now, and taking a look at the results here, it appears that Grant Riddall is on the pole with Tiago Canola 2nd and David Jakes 3rd. So no huge surprises about who's going to be starting near the front, but I think this will provide a really interesting challenge for these drivers. 10 minutes to go now in the warm-up session. Let's talk real briefly about what's coming up in the weeks ahead here at HSO. Next Sunday, we go back IndyCar racing on the 1 mile oval in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Miller High Life 200. And that's round 3 out of 15. It'll be Sunday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day here in the States. And then following that, on Wednesday, we will have the DHL International Race Day, which is the 5th of 13 rounds in the 1996 BTCC series. I'm sure Jonathan's looking forward to that.
Definitely it's Salton Park after all.
Oh yes, and as and as the kids may say, touring cars are Jonathan's jam. And then we go back Procar racing on March 24th, my brother's birthday. Or no, I'm sorry, that's my dad's birthday. See, the problem is we all have birthdays real close together. I'm on the 18th, my brother's on the 20th, and my dad's on the 24th. So anyway, that's at Hockenheim, the full layout minus the chicane at the Ostkurve. So that'll be really fun with these cars, and again, it'll be a challenge of speed, but also precision So you may see some very similar dynamics that we saw at Avis, I would think. But that's going to be on March 24th. So we got about 9.5 minutes to go here in this warm-up session. Let's see if we can take a lap around the track with somebody.
Well, I'm first in line, so if you want to jump on board with me.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm, I believe, 13th.
There you are. Well, we'll wait till you get around to the start-finish line, then we can just take everybody around the whole way. We've got 10 people online on YouTube. Welcome, everyone, and to our first, I guess this will be our first race of the month of March, because we didn't have a race last Sunday, or was there were there BTCC races on Wednesday night?
We did BTCC races on Wednesday, so...
Alright, so this is their first Sunday race of March. But we're really glad to have all of you watching. Hopefully this will be a good show. We're racing on the AMS version of Brands Hatch here that comes with the game itself, so this is as sophisticated as you can get with Brands in this platform. Okay, so here comes Jonatan off the final corner, clear ways. He's coming down through the start-finish area, and now he heads into Paddock Bend, which is probably the most challenging corner on the course because the circuit drops away. Adverse camber situation. You try to keep the car under control. Accelerating now to the Druids hairpin, applying the power all the way around this corner, swinging to the outside. Jonatan has a bit of a problem in engaging the gear there, but that's to be expected in these cars. If you don't lift the throttle exactly the way you're supposed to, you'll miss a shift. Exiting that left-hander, now into this second right-hander, or left-hander, sorry, that is extremely, ooh, goodness, it tightens progressively as you go around that corner, doesn't it, Jonatan?
It does indeed,
yeah,
and with the leaning of the, as you're going uphill as well, it's even more tricky, as it also leans away from the apex.
Downshifting then into this fast right-hander, and then you have to downshift again, I believe, for this right-hander.
Depends on how you have the gearing set up. I don't.
And then there's this dip right here.
Very tricky braking zone up here.
Fading to the right, and then there's a left-hander here that's faster than you might expect it to be because it's got a little dip in there. Accelerating out of this left-hander. We have one more turn to go. Staying to the right as much as possible, sweeping through here, trying to get on the power as quickly as you can. Car wants to step out, something fierce there, but that is one lap of Brands, and Brands Hatch is defined by its very sharp elevation changes, and for a, I've never been to this track personally, from what I understand, from a spectator's point of view, it's an absolute dream, because you can see so much of the track from the front straight location. You can see down into Druids and see them coming back around again on the lower portion of the course.
Of course, on the shorter version of the track, if you're on the grandstand on the front straight, you can see the whole track, except for a little bit up at the very entry of Druids.
Yeah, because that one would slip out of view, I would think.
Because of the trees.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a lot. Well, yeah, that, but you're probably going to miss a portion of the track too, because you're heading downhill from Paddock Bend.
Yes, of course.
So some of that track's
right.
out of your line of sight to start with. But yes, you're obviously going to lose the cars at Druids because of the trees that are on the inside. But then they'll come back around the other way. But yeah, as far as I've been told, a beautiful venue to watch a motor race. I need to put that on my list of places to go at some point. So we got about 5 minutes to go here. Now, Jonathan's already mentioned the fact that rear tires and tire wear will be a critical factor in this race. Jonathan, you're being hounded here by, I believe that's
David Saber.
David Saber. In addition to rear tire degradation, what else do you think is going to be a factor in this race? It's a short race and a short lap each time around. But other than tires, what do you think will be the factors that'll decide the race?
Probably flat spotting tires. If you have just one slight hiccup on the brakes in the wrong place, like down here where it's curved braking zone, you will lock up the tires, and if you do it 3-4 times you will have flat spots, and that will make it very difficult to actually maneuver the turns around here.
Did you guys use this layout for BTCC as well, or not this particular track, but the Indy layout prior?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. How did that go over? Well?
It went very well. At least for me, I won both races. So.
Oh, that's right, you did. Yeah, you won both of those races.
I had a good time.
Well, so
overall, the racing seemed good.
So for you at this track, it's not a question of not liking the track. It's that the car just does not
like me.
The car does not like you. Okay. But there you see David Saber going agricultural driving behind you, and that's very easy to do. If you miss an apex here, you can go into the grass very quickly. The only saving grace is that you do have some room to make a mistake around here and not necessarily hit a wall. Even down near paddock, if you get into the gravel, there's still a good chance you'll be okay. You just need to keep your foot in it and keep going. And the gravel is not incredibly sticky here, so I don't think we're going to see anybody stuck in a sand trap for too long.
It should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
The one place where we definitely do not want contact is up after you go onto the G circuit. Right over those crests and that, there's been quite a few accidents over the years. One fairly recently in the BTCC, I believe it was 4 years ago, there were 3 or 4, even 5 cars involved in a lap 102 angle, and of course that's also where Johnny Herbert, as a junior Formula driver, hurt his feet. One of the many times he hurt his leg right here along this straight.
Yeah, the most dangerous part of the track is all around the front straight, if you can call it straight,
because
not really it's
straight,
completely bent. But the most difficult part is when you come to turn 1, because it's completely blind, as I think you've already mentioned.
You have no reference point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to guide yourself. You have to guide yourself by a reference that is way outside. I mean, a tree or something that you pick that is actually in front, so that you know where to put the inside wheel. But then you just hope that you get the right speed and that everything is going to happen as you expected. When you're driving alone, that might be the case, but as soon as you enter too wide on that corner, is an accident waiting to happen.
We're on board right now with Dave Miller, who is 6th fastest in this warm-up session. We'll see where he actually lines up for the race when we go on the parade lap before the standing start. Again, this
Miller. I believe he qualified 7th or 8th.
Okay, well then his pace is matched well with his qualifying pace. That's good to see. Bodes well for him. Miller's had several good runs in this series so far. And even led for a brief point at Avis. He's following Little Al just ahead of him here. Oh, Al loses it, but just manages to get it under control. See, there is room enough there to save the car if it gets out of control.
Yeah, he has been complaining all the week about understeer in the car. And I think
understeer? That was
understeer, yeah, because he's forcing it too much into the corner, I believe.
I see. So the
matter of getting the feel.
The transition from understeer to oversteer is a New York minute, I guess, in these cars. All right, so the question is going to be, can Grant Riddall continue his dominance in this series? I mean, I was talking with David Jakes before the start of qualifying, and basically he asked me, he's like, should I be conservative or should I be aggressive? And I'm like, dude, I don't think you have a choice. You got to be aggressive. After having lost a connection in the previous race, I mean, you can't afford to lay back and wait for something to happen to Grant. He's already shown that he's very competent in these cars. And I don't. My personal opinion is that he can't afford to be conservative.
Yeah, the thing is that David Jakes is obviously one of our best racers he is, but everybody knows that he is not the quickest guy.
No.
If we talk about raw speed, that's probably a honor for Grant Riddall and maybe Austin Johnson in the case of ovals. But David Jakes is probably the most regular guy around, and the guy who is most knowledgeable when it comes to setting up the car and who knows how to read a race better. So the big problem for him is that he missed the scoring points last time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would certainly have a shot, because normally Grant, with his much more aggressive driving style, he's a great spectacle to see. But at the same time, all the show that he puts is putting him constantly in danger.
Yeah,
and we've seen him already abandoned, for example, at Phoenix.
The key that I would point out as we're going to the race session now is that he's not he's driving with that kind of speed, but it's less and less is it costing him in the way it's cost him before. I mean, he drove really well in the last race, and you saw what happened. He just ran away with it. So we're waiting for everybody to come onto the grid now.
Yeah, these are sprint races. We know that it's easier to get away with such driving here.
30 laps around the full Brands Hatch layout. So waiting for Grant. Grant always does I'm convinced that Grant does this just to get under my skin. He joins at the very last minute.
Also a question of keeping the engine temperature down, I think. Get a bit of engine heat.
Yeah,
maybe
that's probably true. Yeah, it's probably true. All right, so off we go on the parade lap. On the pole is Grant Riddall in car number 40, the Project 4 entry. Second is Tiago Canola in the B&S Fabrications number 25. Third, David Jakes in the number 55 Manfred Cassani racing car, number 55, yeah. Fourth is Jason Whited in the Marco Rennsport car. Fifth,
great effort by him.
Yeah, very good effort by him. John Team is fifth in the Team Mercerio entry. Sixth, Steve Barper in the Canacher GT entry. Seventh, Gabriel Sturr in the Jurgensen and Son number 42. Eighth is Dave Miller, Sauber Racing Switzerland. Ninth is Peter Hlavik in the Scuderia Basilia car. 10th is Ray Riddall in the first of the GS tuning cars. 11th is Jan Prusa making a one-off appearance, number 5 car. Number 28 car, same livery, driven by Cesarius Lipinski. 13th is Jonatan Acerclinth. Good luck, Jonatan. BMW Austria number 77. 14th, Mick Chapman in Team Schnitzer car number 62. 15th, Juha Boss in the Pooh car, Sauber Racing Switzerland. 16th, David Saber in the other GS tuning car. 17th is Lucas Vidra, Mercerio team. 18th, Jan Kowalski, Schutz Racing. 19th, François Remen, Olimpo Motorsport. 20th, Little Al in the other Team Schnitzer entry. 21st, Michael Griffiths in the another Team Schnitzer entry, number 45. Gerard Rion in the GS tuning car, number 80, BASF. 23rd, Philip Martinelli. Great to see him out here for a change. Oh, goodness! We have a car running off the track. That's Michael Griffiths, it appears. Goodness, it didn't look like he damaged the car too bad. Hopefully he'll be able to take his slot. John Cook, the 24th, in the Eggenberger Motorsports entry. That's the car that's usually driven by Jakob Fredriksson. 25th, Bruno Chacon. Timo Vermeers is 26th on the grid, and I believe that is the whole grid. 26 cars, so we're missing 2 of the full allotment that we would have in this.
Yeah, those were late moment cancellations, and nobody was able to jump in. I'm very glad to see our veteran Philippe Martinelli again here in the mood for racing. He has been, I know, going through very hard times in real life, but now he seems to be motivated again, which is great.
All right, so the cars are pulling onto the grid. We'll have a look now and see everybody. Tense moments here waiting for the green light to come on. It'll be really interesting to see who gets the advantage going into Druids as we listen for the start of the race. Lights are coming up. And the race is underway. Great getaway by Grant Riddall, but look at Tiago. He's already up alongside him on the outside. Looks like he's going to take the lead going into
my God,
the downhill
Jason
section.
Whited lost so many places.
Oh my goodness.
It's amazing.
Yeah, these cars, I mean, if you don't have a good start right away, that's a problem. But my goodness, cars coming through the Druid section. Tiago Canola leads with Grant Riddall in second. That is a very interesting development. David Jakes right there in third place. Now they're coming down the backside of the course, and Jakes is right there with Grant. Looks like he's ready to take a swipe at him as they go.
Cesario Slapinski, Jan Prusa, there have been more than words there.
My goodness.
They were too wide going through a very narrow section, but they finally made it through. They've been lucky.
Grant Riddall is...
Boys. Oh shit, there's a big crash behind here.
Oh
on
no.
the straight I talked about.
So Grant Riddall is right with Tiago now. And Jakes is basically about the same amount of space behind Grant. So our three championship contenders really are right together here. It's a shame that we don't have that we don't have Jakob Fredriksson in this race because, oh goodness, Grant Riddall runs off the track. That might give a bit of an advantage to David Jakes as they come down to clearways to start or to end lap number 1 as we see him come through Team, Parker, Hlavik, Miller, Sturr. So everybody running very close together. There's Jonatan. So it looks like we have the bulk of the field still running okay, even if there was an incident towards the back as they come into, oh my goodness, very close racing between Riddall and Tiago. He's looking for a way to get by into Druids, but can't get it done. Going down the hill now into the two left-handers, and Tiago is successfully keeping Grant at bay. Grant runs off the track again. Now he's got David Jakes up the inside. He's going to have a look. No, he doesn't have the room. But this is a very interesting start to this race, not the start that I would have expected, Alberto.
People have been quite aggressive here. I mean, probably they sense that overtaking here is not going to be the easiest. So everybody was joking for position so as to be able to keep, once the tires are warm, the rivals behind. Once the field is stretched more, we will see that overtaking is not that easy. So I guess everybody was well aware of that, and they also wanted to not to be held up by a car that is maybe slower than them, because we know there will be tire degradation problems towards the end of the race, and that's not exactly the situation you want to be with someone who is actually quicker than you or slower than you in front, and you can't overtake him, and you are already on worn tires.
Well, Grant Riddall is now taking a look on the inside. Looks like he may have Tiago here. Tiago holding the out. Oh my goodness, look at that. Great racing. Tiago holds the outside. Grant still on the inside. Looks like he's got the line, but of course the next corner he's not going to be in the right place. Grant takes the lead. Tiago drops to second place. So now the question is Grant just going to simply streak away? I don't think that's a development necessarily that David Jakes wanted to see, because you can make the argument that Grant was keeping the cork in the bottle, or I'm sorry, Tiago was keeping the cork in the bottle, so to speak. But things may look very different from here on out as they come streaming through the backside of the course. Yeah, the cars are starting to stream out a little bit. There's some good battling going back here with Saber, Boss, Chapman, and Ray Riddall. Griffiths running slightly off the track. Maybe he's dealing with damage that he had. Oh, goodness, Alberto Aquino off the track for a moment. Oh, Grant Riddall looks like he's running slightly offline, or maybe he's just taking an aggressive line. Oh, and he runs off the track. That's like the second or third time that he's...
I'm surprised that he did qualify a good 0.7 of a second quicker than the guys right behind, but now in the race he doesn't seem to be able to shake them off that easily.
Well, the fuel load is different, that's for sure. So that's 3 laps completed, going into lap 4, and you can see how tricky it is downshifting for this paddock bend that just slips away from you and goes downhill. Big chunk of it's blind. Coming into the Druids bend now, it looks like Grant is really punishing those tires. And to Jonathan's point earlier, that could come back to bite him if he's not careful, and he's being very aggressive on turn-in. Grant leads. Tiago second.
Lots of wheel locking here, which
David
as we know
Jakes is
not...
third. David Jakes is third. John Team is fourth. Steve Parker, Peter Hlavik, Dave Miller, Gabriel Sturr, Jason Whited, Jan Kowalski is 10th.
There's already a big gap behind John Tim.
But these three are running right together. And John Team is just hanging back there. I don't think there's any advantage for him to get in this fight right now, even if he wanted to, or even if he get up there. But
Slovak is now trying to overtake Steve Parker, who qualified very well. Steve is a driver who is very good at these British tracks. He knows them from many games, and also with this type of cars, heavier cars.
Here comes Peter and Parker now to clearways. We'll see if Peter can get, a little bit of oversteer there from Steve. Maybe Peter will have a chance coming down to the paddock bend here. Now he's a bit far back, but we'll see who gets the upper hand breaking through here. The person who can maintain, there's a, you see there's an example of how, I mean, Peter had a little bit better entry into that corner, but Parker's taken a defensive line into the Druids Bend, and there's not going to be an overtake there.
Yeah, all the flow of the track up to the Druids Bend means that it's so hard to really put the nose of your car forward so as to allow you to gain the position. This is something that you can only really do on the back part of the track, and for that probably the other driver has to suffer some kind of driving error, because otherwise the straights here are too short.
You can see how Peter's car is just twitching back and forth as he tries to keep control of it, but that's not just him. Everybody is having that issue with these cars exiting corners, and there's another example. He's running off into the grass, but at least there's that room to make that error. If this were Monaco, that would be an entirely different situation. You'd be looking at fiberglass work in the garage afterwards. So he's shadowing Parker still. I think this could shape up to be one of the battles of the race. It certainly looks fantastic now. Coming up to clearways once again. He's closer this time for sure. Into the corner. Steve has better control of his car under acceleration this time, but Peter looks like he might have the faster car of these two. It's just a matter of looking for the right opportunity to get by.
Yeah, but sometimes having the highest top speed doesn't mean that Steve are in a position to
Steve
overtake.
loses a lot of steam here, but Peter doesn't really have an opportunity to he's going on the inside now of Druids. He hits Steve in the side. He ran out of room there. Steve was right down by the curb.
Well, that was Steve's corner at that point.
Yep.
But Peter is letting him know that he's there.
Yeah, he is definitely. And it looks like, I'm looking at Steve's car, he doesn't seem to have any appreciable damage, so that was just like he rubbed him, I guess is the best way to put it. And what do we say about rubbing?
It's racing, of course.
Rubbing is racing, yes. Okay, so now the race is shaping up to what I think most of us would think it was going to be. Now that Grant is out in front, he's starting to open a small gap between himself and Thiago Canola, and Thiago's opening a small gap between himself and David Jakes. So we'll see how this develops, but certainly, I said it before, I'll say it again, I think David saw a golden opportunity there to contain Grant, and it's kind of gone away now, which for his championship hopes is unfortunate. But
yeah, once Grant is there in the front with room to race and stretch his legs, it's going to be hard unless he makes an error. We'll see when he gets to lapping traffic.
Steve Parker's pulled out a little bit of a gap now from Peter Hlavik, so that's cooled off a little bit. We've got a good battle going a little further back in the field. Let me see if I can find it here. Mick Chapman, David Saber are right close together.
Poor Jason Whited is now ninth at the tail of that group that he is following, which is a shame because he started fourth. But
David Saber runs really wide, and that allows Mick Chapman to get by and move up into 15th place. And Gerard Rion in the background there going off the track. So people are already starting to have multiple off-course excursions, and no surprises in paddock. Probably the most difficult corner on this circuit. And as the tires get worn down and as drivers get more tired, it's only going to get more challenging in that corner. Here comes Jonatan Acerclinth looking to overtake Cezariusz Lipinski. He looks to the inside, and he's by into 10th place. Nice pass, Jonatan.
Yes, Not done yet, though.
No, but you're defending the inside line. Very good driving from Jonatan in a car that he shares with Pascal Mikola.
Actually, with Brian Yannick, since Mikola has picked up a full-time car.
Okay. My apologies. But yes, he's got
okay.
He's got Cezarius Slipinski right behind him, but Cezarius can't really. He's got to have eyes in the back of his head as well because he's got Juha right behind him. So this is a really, really good three-car battle right here. It's going to be a three-car battle in a second. Jonatan is able to stretch his legs here coming into Paddock Bend. He's got the back end hanging out nicely there. Down to Druids Bend. Exiting. Juha looks like he's closing in on Cezarius, which will be good news for Jonatan because it'll distract him enough that he won't be attacking as much.
I've been sitting behind Cezarius for 5 or 6 laps, so good to get by, and I'm just trying to open up the gap, as you say.
And the prize for the eventful race today is going to go for Jan Prusa, who is, I know, a quite quick driver. He's very decent and he can be very quick in these cars, but he has been having today the worst of luck. He's now struggling there in the back in 24th position.
Oh,
where he has ended after some incidents.
Yeah, that was lap 1. Him and another driver went off on the straight that I talked about earlier.
Well,
had side-by-side contact.
If I'm not mistaken, that's his first run in these cars. So, I mean, you can't really learn these cars in one go. They are very particular and very finicky cars to drive for sure.
Oh, Kowalski in the pits. What happened there? No, he's abandoned the race.
Oh no!
Yeah, probably damage of some kind, but the car didn't seem damaged to me.
That's too bad. Oh, Gabriel Sturr here is in a pretty interesting battle with Jason Whitehead. Gabriel Sturr driving the number 42 Bioscalin car, and Jason Whitehead right ahead of him in the Marlboro colors. And right ahead of Whitehead is Dave Miller. So these cars are starting to come together here.
Gabriel already showed his speed in the Can-Am series, where he was using a very outdated machinery and yet getting very good results. He had been at the beginning of the year setting up his cockpit and had some, well, hardware problems, so he has been sharing the car, but now he's starting to drive and, well, he's showing again his abilities.
Okay, Jason is getting closer to Dave Miller here, and Peter Hlavik is right up ahead, so there's a lot of good action happening here. We'll see if these two start to close in on each other as we get to the front here. Looks like Jonathan's getting off the corners a bit faster than Dave as they come into the clearways section. We'll see how this works out. Dave is a pretty good purchase coming off of there, but not. I think the telling corner is going to be the next one, Paddock Bend. Oh,
well, you can also tell that with some more space between the cars, not everybody is punched up. With the tires warm and with people somehow more relaxed and settled, they are certainly driving much better. The cars, you can look at them and see that they are not moving as much. Until tire degradation starts to kick in, I think we will be seeing much more clean racing for a while.
Jason Whitehead running in 8th place, starting to size up Dave Miller. Looking for an opportunity, but I think right now it's funny, like you mentioned how difficult it is to pass in this circuit. I bet a lot of the overtakes we're going to see, if not the majority of them, are going to be taking advantage of OPP. What do you guys think?
OPP?
Other people's problems.
Oh.
Very likely, at least to force your opponent into a mistake, which you can then make use of, as Jan unfortunately retires from the race.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, the back of the grid, they are certainly trading positions via OPP. Oh, Jan Prusa is out of the race also.
Yeah, Jonathan had just mentioned that a second ago. Yeah, Jason's taking it easy. I think he's calming down a little bit after
Hang on for a moment. Grant Riddle is in 4th position. What happened there?
What?
Yes, Thiago Canola is leading in front. Then there's David Jacks, John Team, and Grant Riddle in 4th position. Now, probably a driving error. He's now passing John Team, or trying to, because he just slid out.
Okay, here we go. It wasn't that long ago. I can show where the error occurred, thankfully. He's in the gravel coming off of... this happened when he was leading. So this is the replay of what happened to Grant Riddle. The left-hander, I believe it's Dingle Dell. He comes...
It's towards the end of the lap, up the crest, yes.
Yeah, up the crest, Dingle Dell. He comes in, he runs off to the left. Looks like he gets his tires on the grass just briefly, and that's enough to upset the car, and then he goes into a spin, into the gravel, doesn't hit anything, has an opportunity to rejoin, but then he spins again, so there's not much grip there in that gravel, obviously, and that's where he lost all those positions. The live feed shows that he's back up to 3rd place now, but goodness, that's a real game changer for the championship.
Well,
Back
still
live
many
now.
laps to go. Still many laps to go. Not a damaged car, so
and he's got
knowing Grant, he will be able to recover some positions. But yeah, certainly it spices up things a bit.
Yeah, a lot. It definitely adds some Frank's Red Hot to the mix for us broadcasters. Grant Riddle has now got John Team right behind him, and he'll have been flustered by that mistake, so we'll see if there's a chink in his armor now, and John might smell blood in the water. Oh my goodness, Grant letting it all hang out as they come off of Paddock Bend into Druids.
Yeah, that's actually the bad thing for Grant now. If he was on a strategy to conserve a bit the tires when he got the lead, that strategy is now completely gone. He must be hammering it, though that's, I must say, something that stems from his personality. I mean, he's the typical guy who really wants to win.
On the other hand,
he would be driving with the head as David Jacks. I'm sure he would be settling more in a rhythm for that 3rd position, which is perfectly okay for him in this championship at this point.
And in the meantime, we've got a whale of a battle for the lead right now between Jakes and Thiago. They're right together, and Jakes is not giving Thiago any rest at all. They're heading into Dingle Dell now.
Well, David Jacks at this point knows that if he has a chance of reviving the championship, that's actually...
No, this is it. This is absolutely
it.
That's
winning this race.
Yeah, and he wants to get that. I mean, apart from winning, he needs to get Thiago in between himself and Grant so that they can get back to a situation like they had before, where he was the cork in the bottle, so to speak.
Exactly.
Coming through the straightaway now, we are coming up. That was 12 laps completed, so in another 3 laps, we'll be at half distance as they come through Paddock Bend. David Jakes has much better purchase coming out of Paddock than Thiago did there. Thiago was fighting oversteer as they go through the Druids hairpin, heading downhill now into the 2 left-handers on the backside of the Paddock section. And this is an exciting race so far. An interesting start.
The only problem is that they are lapping slower than they should be, and Grant at this point doesn't have anybody in front and is going all for it and eating them nearly a second per lap.
Well, I mean, that's going to make things even more exciting in a bit. So yeah, these two have got to get the lead out. They're driving slower than Grant, as you would say, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, you know, especially in this circuit, catching's one thing, passing's another.
Yeah, and Grant already once had a spin on his own, and it could happen again, especially if he's trying to push it.
The challenge after you've had an incident like that is to not let it affect your driving further, because it's so easy to let a mistake like that get you flustered, and then you go and compound the problem by making a second, a third, a fourth mistake. And not that I'm saying Grant is likely to do that, but that's what most drivers will have to deal with. Thiago coming through Paddock Bend now into Druids. He's driving with the back end hanging out a little bit more than David seems to. Not that it's slowing him down, but he's got a slightly different driving technique, I think, than our Ontario friend here has.
Also be that Dave, considering he's so good on setting up the car, he actually decided that, well, between having tire wear on the rear and the front, he prefers it on the front.
All right, heading down the backside. Having slipstream really isn't a huge advantage here, but David's right tucked behind him, so...
Yeah, these are very short straights, unfortunately for them. In these cars, there's not many chances here.
All right. David staying right with Thiago. And the gap between this group and Grant Riddall is only about 7 seconds right now. We'll
eight I have in my display.
It's 8 now, so we'll keep an eye on that.
But it's reducing itself, I can tell you that.
All right. Holding steady right now at about 8 seconds, 7.5. Across the line. We are now at half distance, starting lap number 15. You can see him just there popping into the corner of the screen, Grant. David looks like he's going to make a try here. He goes to the inside. Thiago takes a defensive line on the inside, so David can't get by there. But David clearly has the faster car right now. Downhill. My goodness, these two are just... It's a joy to watch these two drive these cars with the precision they are and also with the flair that they're driving. David looks again.
Not a good maneuver there. He
should
probably have tried to get the run here.
Yeah, that's going to cost him too much speed down the straight. That wasn't a smart move, I don't think.
Yeah, there you go. This is what happened. He was botched on the corner exit by Canola, and Thiago was able to get a clear acceleration out of it, and that translates into 4 or 5 car lengths at the end of the straight.
Yeah, exactly. And meanwhile, Grant Riddall has reduced the gap to 6 seconds now. So he is definitely closing very quickly. This is going to become a 3-car battle for the lead. You're watching live 1980 Procar Series, historic sim racing organization. We're glad to have you with us. Jason White along with Alberto Ibañez in the booth, and via the in-car audio, Jonatan Acerclinth, who is currently running in 10th position, last points paying position.
You'll be finishing 11th just to keep my usual situation.
Yeah. Those of you who don't know, Jonathan, or Johnny Aces as he's known on the west side of the pond, is known as Mr. 7th place. He always finishes just out of the points. David Jakes. God, these two cars, you could throw a blanket over them at this point. But they've got to also be aware that while they're having this battle, lurking in the background, and there you see him,
David Saber just retired also.
Oh, shoot. That's too bad, because David's had rotten luck in this series so far. I think that's fair to say. But there you can see Grant just behind these two. What do you think Grant's mindset is watching these two battle up here? Is he hoping that one or both of them will make an error, or is he just going to assume that he just has to get by them on his own merit?
Well, I think that having been able to catch up that quickly, because remember that it wasn't just an out-track excursion, he did a spin and he was for several seconds out of the track. There was a sizable gap there. If he has been able in so few laps to be back there almost fighting for the victory, that must have given him a confidence boost. I mean, there is a big speed differential there.
Oh my goodness, David's right with him now, almost bump drafting him, IROC style, coming through, and looks like he's going to get alongside him. He is alongside. David Jakes alongside, going for the lead, as Grant Riddall has a $75 seat. Jakes is through into the lead. Thiago Canola is now second, and David makes it stick, coming down into Druid's beautiful pass.
Brilliant overtaking maneuver.
Excellent, excellent racing. And now Thiago is on the attack. He's not going to let this stand. But David looks like he's already starting to open up a small gap there. Yeah,
well, he knows that Grant is only 4 seconds
behind. Yeah, there he is. So Grant closing all the time.
If he was going to try to open a gap, it better they be there. With some luck for him, if he puts some distance with Thiago Canola, then Thiago maybe is able to hold Grant for a few laps, and that gives David a bit more breathing room. But
exactly. So David now has got to put together a string of absolutely scintillating laps. That's his task. Put some distance between himself and Thiago and hope that Thiago holds up Grant just enough to give him a much-needed win in this series if he wants to stay in the championship hunt. Great event, great racing so far, gentlemen. And
it sounds like it.
And I might add, no stupid driving either. People seem to be very respectful, racing hard, but not driving over their heads. At least what we've seen on TV so far. David is definitely...
Might be that people have finally understood how to race these cars.
Mm-hmm.
Don't need to be aggressive. So
David's opened up about a 7/10 of a second gap. It accordions back and forth from 5 to 8 tenths, but he's got cars in front of him here that he's going to have to lap, and that could be a help or a hindrance to him keeping Thiago and eventually Grant at bay as they go into this tightening left-hander now into the downhill section in the wooded section of the course. He's got 3 cars in a line here just ahead of him that he's going to have to dispense with. And overtaking under competition here is difficult. I can't imagine that overtaking lapping a car is easy either. It's John Cook that's just ahead of this group here. So we'll see. Hopefully they allow this battle to continue without too much trouble.
And Grant's closure ratio seems to have been somehow stopped because he is now at a constant 3 seconds behind him. Maybe he's just somehow letting his tires cool off a bit.
He could be.
No, yeah, now under 3 seconds, yes, barely.
All right, so Jakes is coming up now to lap John Cook, and he's got Thiago about 0.6 of a second behind him, so he's not breathing down his neck. So Jakes now, and there's Cook moving right to the inside, letting both of them by very sportingly. He doesn't want to get involved in a race for the lead and unwittingly cause a certain result to occur. He wants it to happen on its own merit. Good for him. It appears that, is that Alberto Aquino getting out of the way? Yes. So these guys are being very respectful, and admittedly they're being caught at advantageous points. Here's Chacon moving to the inside. Great sportsmanship being shown here. Next car in line, I believe, is Philippe Martinelli, who is in 20th.
Yes, and David Jacks has been quite lucky because this is the best part of the circuit to actually get to lap cars. Because if you are caught on the back part of the track and all over the front stretch, that's very complicated.
Although he's been a lot luckier with it than Thiago. Thiago has lost a full second to him, really. Well, not quite a full second, but the gap is now 1.4 seconds.
Peter Lavak is now again at the very back of Steve Parker. Let's see what happens here. Because he's now trying to go side by side.
Peter goes on the inside. Oh, no. Just
Steve just squeezed so smoothly into the corner.
Steve's like, that's my line.
To see if he was, not something assertive, but he was just saying, look, this is my corner, I'm going for it.
He has got the line, he's keeping it. Steve driving very confidently and with authority. So Peter, if he wants that position, he's going to have to earn it.
And Grant is already behind Thiago Canola here.
Oh, yes, he is. That didn't take long at all. So
no, I think that the lapped cars actually have followed him to.
Yes, that's true.
Get closer.
That would have played right into that because Thiago had difficulty getting around some of the, not difficulty per se, but it didn't take him. It wasn't as quick for him to get by them as it was for David. So now David has got to absolutely be just like go, 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 go. Oh goodness! Grant looked up the inside but didn't have the room to make the pass. Thiago holding his line. Oh, here comes Grant. He's going to look on the, well, there's not really any room there. He was looking on the outside, maybe just to say to him, hey, here I am.
Thiago was moving to the outside for the next corner, and
all right,
he's squeezing.
Grant's definitely got a head of steam behind him here, but yeah, it's a question now of, for Jakes, this is the dream scenario because Grant's clearly faster than Thiago, but he can't get by. So that will allow David Jakes to streak away, and he's got 10 laps to go at the end of this lap. So This is the scenario that he must have been begging for, or praying for, or whatever we want to say, going into this race. All right, here comes Grant. Looks like he's going to have an opportunity here to overtake Thiago. After he's going on the inside here, looking into Paddock Bend. He's alongside. He's got his front wheels. Okay, he's right alongside him now. They're going into Druids. It looks like he has the position. Yes, Grant Riddall goes up to second place.
Very risky and very skillful maneuver. Not everybody is able to do that.
No.
Overtaking there on the inside. And overtaking someone like Thiago Canola, who is not exactly a slow driver.
All right, so now Grant's got to set off in pursuit of David Jakes. And Jakes is got a car in front of him that he has to overtake. I believe it's Gerard Rion. Gerard gets out of the way. But again, like you said, Alberto, it's about, even with the most cooperative of traffic, it depends on when you arrive at them. Like here, for example, there's not really a place for Gerard to make it easy for Grant, because there's only one line through these corners. Grant arrives here with, he's getting kind of bottled up here behind Gerard. There's not a convenient place to get by. Gerard gets out of the way, lets him by. He's got Timo now in front of him. So the gap between himself and David Jakes is 2.6 seconds right now. And we've got, at the end of this lap, 8 laps to go. Timo ahead of him is running in 18th place.
Oh, their Timo wasn't sure if Grant was going to dive on the inside.
Yeah, he was thinking about it. Well, Grant's going to go for it now.
Yeah. And right behind Thiago.
Thiago is going to get through as well, so... Now, Thiago's not lying down here. He's trying to stay with Grant as much as he can, because he knows that, like you said, if
I should mention that John Tim is actually right behind them. It's just that
he's
having a more discreet race, and we're not noticing him that much. But
no, he hasn't gotten a lot of TV
time. Look at that,
time.
he's in striking distance also.
Yeah, he's right there, driving a very competent race in 4th place. 5th, Steve Parker. 6th, Dave Miller. Whitehead is in 7th place, and he's right with Peter Hlavik. Hlavik looks like he's going to make an attempt here. Not
that must have had some kind of driving error, because he was right behind Steve Parker some laps ago. And now he's at the end of that bunch of cars.
Dave Miller shadowing Steve Parker at this point. Miller is in 5th place as they come through the first right-hander on the backside of the course. Now the second one, and then next will be Dingledell. Steve looks like he didn't get out of that corner quite as quickly as he would have liked. Out of this left-hander, now heading to Clearways.
And what happened here? Grant is in the lead. Thiago the second. Where's David Jakes? Did not finish.
Oh no!
He's disconnected.
He disconnected again. I don't believe it.
Oh my God.
He's got somewhere in Ontario. There are keyboards and monitors flying out the window. Oh my goodness! What a disastrous development for David. I can't believe it.
That's really, really bad luck for him. So unfair.
I mean, it's analogous to an engine failure that you would experience in a race. It's not something that is anybody's fault. It just happens, especially in USAC cars, because the engines are hand grenades. But yeah, this happened a while ago. He just quit. I guess he just discoed. Oh God, he just must be furious. Absolutely furious. So Grant Riddall now with 6 laps to go. He hasn't pulled out
wake up.
He hasn't pulled out a huge. Oh no, actually, just receiving word from the pits. It was not a disco. David says that he missed a shift and blew the engine.
Oh.
Oh. Well, I salute David for giving us that piece of information. Not the most rosy piece of information to report. Sorry to hear that, David. That's awful. But my goodness, it's terrible too, because he had a really good race scenario set up, and it was simply a matter of him trying to stay ahead of Grant. So Grant Riddall leading the race now, Tiago in second. It'll be interesting to see what this does to the points picture. It almost certainly means that David Jakes is going to drop to into third in the points. If we look at the points as they are right now, yeah, Tiago's only 1 point behind David Jakes. So Tiago, if he finishes second, he's going to vault into second place in the points. David will likely stay in third because Fredriksson is not in this race, as we've mentioned before.
And we have some fight behind between Juha Boss and Cesarius Lapinski. Things are really hot there at this point.
Miller, by the way, is right with oh my goodness, he's right with Steve Parker, looking for that fourth place. He is really hot to get around Steve, but Steve's seen this movie before. He's not going to be made nervous by a few cars running behind him. And you said it was Cesarius. Oh yes, Cesarius Lipinski and Juha Boss running right together. Going to be hard for you to finish 11th now, Jonathan.
Seems like it, and I'm not that far behind both Jason Whited and Gabriel Sturr, who has closed in on one another. For seventh place.
Looks like Cesarius might have a run here at Juha.
You are doing a really good impersonation of Dieter Quester, Jonathan, because he was a brilliant touring car racer, but then when he had to drive these Procars, he struggled a bit more. He was more towards the midfield, whereas he was a brilliant winner in touring cars, and you also did that with the Volvo very recently.
That's why I chose the car.
Oh boy, coming in.
I was aware I'm not a quick driver here.
Oh boy, Peter looking to overtake Steve Parker now, I believe. Oh yes, Dave Miller dropped to 6th at some point here. These three cars running together. Peter is looking to try to get back into the top, into 4th place where he was before. Well, he was in 5th before, but he's looking to elevate himself further. Steve Parker is in 4th. And my goodness, Miller, he's got John Cook in between him and Bruno Chacon also. Those two are not, he's not battling them for position. And he's trying to get by here. They're having their own battle, so understandably it's a bit awkward to make room for him. But Dave is able to get by, but that's cost him a great deal of time to Peter Hlavik, who is now on the attack versus Steve Parker. 4 laps to go now.
And everybody getting really antsy because you either get it now or it will be hard to do it before the end of the race.
Yep. Oh, Peter is looking on the inside there. God, he's clearly got something in hand for Steve. He's just looking for the right spot to pounce. At the front, it's still the same. Grant Riddall leads. Tiago Canola second. John Team is in 3rd, and that's because of David Jakes' retirement. Steve Parker is 4th. Peter Hlavik, that you're watching, tailing him right now, is 5th. Dave Miller 6th. Jason Whited is in 7th. And there goes Peter Hlavik down the inside, looking for room. Oh, just doesn't have the space to do it. Lunging there. Oh, goodness. Losing ground there because of the twitch that he had on exit. And 7th, I mentioned, was Jason Whited. 8th is Gabriel Sturr. 9th, Jonathan Acerclinth. And Ray Riddall is 10th. Juha Boss has slipped all the way back to 11th.
And Sturr are pretty close now.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly due to traffic.
Yep, Sturr is closing in. A little bit of a gap is open now between them. Team pretty much all alone in 3rd place. And the gap now between himself and the lead is 2.2 seconds. So Grant basically has to bring the thing home once again. Who would have thunk it? This guy's going to win another one.
Though this is probably going to be the definitive thing for the championship.
Most likely. I don't know if it will eliminate other people mathematically. I would venture to say no because of Thiago's finish. But Peter Hlavik still shadowing Steve Parker here, wants to get higher than 5th place. Dave Miller behind them in 6th, and Jason Whited in 7th place. Angel May on YouTube not happy to see Dave slipping down to 6th, but hopefully he'll be able to stay where he is because he's got Jason Whitehead closing in on him here. Oh no! Dave Miller spins out and he's got Jason Whitehead hitting him too as they go into the... Oh no! Oh my goodness! Jason Whitehead is able to keep going, but Dave Miller basically just... I saw it when... Oh my goodness, he goes right in front of... Oh no, Dave! He rejoined right in front of Philippe Martinelli. That could have been a very disastrous situation. In fact, he does have damage in the back, and it looks like there may be damage on the front of Philippe Martinelli's car. Oh my goodness, that was very, very close. Let's look at a replay of this from the point of view of Dave as he's trying to get back in the circuit. Now he's rejoining here, and watch this. Here comes Philippe Martinelli, and there is definitely contact there and damage, but thankfully both are continuing. That's something that we've been pointing out in series as something you got to really watch for. When you have an incident, you rejoin, you've got to make sure that you've given space to other people. So that's unfortunate there. I'm just glad that both cars were able to continue without any serious repercussions, but that could have turned out way worse.
Well, at least he's still in the points for now.
True. Dave is still, yeah, he is still in the points. He's 9th. That elevates Jason Whitehead to 8th. And, hey, Jonathan, Mr. 7th place, is in 7th now with Gabriel Sturr up to 6th.
Come on.
Oh, he's going on the inside of Gabriel Sturr. Jonathan,
look shit, I missed a gear.
Oh, but that, you know, you're right there with him. Don't give up.
Oh, Francois Remen just slid out of the track and hit the barriers. Now trying to rejoin, apparently able without damage, or major damage. Whoa, Cesarius Lapinski almost lost it there. Same as Juha Boss. Yeah, rear tires are definitely starting to say.
Yeah, this is definitely
enough.
A problem. So when Grant comes around now, he's going to be going on his final lap. We want to stay with the other
and
battles,
Jonatan has already Gabriel Sturr. Nice battle there.
I think he's struggling with tires here.
Yeah, you're fighting for 6th position there.
Yeah, he's got Sturr right in front of him, just waiting for the right spot. Sturr looks like he's driving rather conservatively there, Jonathan.
And many battles at the track now. Lavak seems to...
Oh, he's right alongside Steve Parker on the inside. No, he can't get it done. Oh, but this could... Oh, goodness, there was almost contact there. Peter had to back out of it.
Well, these are two drivers that you can trust, so it's hard to see them make contact. But, well, they must be suffering a lot.
Oh, Thiago has run off the track at Paddock Bend. Thiago's run off the track, and this is possibly going to cause him to lose 2nd place. No, he's got plenty of room, actually. Never mind. Team is just now coming through. We are on the final lap of the race. The leader is Grant Riddall.
Lavak and Sparker. This is...
Oh, my goodness.
Well, it's just one lap for Peter to do it. So let's see if he can pull something from under his sleeve.
Oh my goodness, they're coming through. Yes, definitely the cars are spent. Hlavik looking for a way to get by, and there's a battle going on just ahead of them between, it appears to be Gerard Rion. Oh goodness! Oh no! Peter Hlavik has run off the track and spun out, so there goes that's the end of that battle. And right behind
watch
them,
out because Gabriel's third.
yeah, Gabriel's still Jonatan. Look at that.
Take his position.
Yep.
So Jonatan now overtakes third. Fifth position
Fifth
for Jonatan
position.
At this point.
Fishtailing all over the place, trying to get by Stir. Look at this, onto the grass.
Oh my God.
Good night. And Whitehead is on the outside, 3 wide almost. What in the living heck is this? Into the third. Oh my goodness, you guys. Oh goodness, Grant Riddall wins the race. Sorry, we didn't show
Jonatan. Good move there.
Oh my goodness, what exciting action.
Gabriel lost the momentum there.
Oh no.
I'm terribly sorry if I cut anyone off there. That was hectic. Oh, hey.
Stir looking to get up alongside Whitehead now. And Hlavik's right there with them. Goodness. Oh my goodness.
What a bottleneck for
Yeah, I know. Oh. 3 cars heading for clearways. Hopefully this will work out okay. Hlavik trying to defend his position. Whitehead coming to the inside, but it looks like this is the way they're going to finish. Although, yeah, Stir is going to be ahead of Hlavik and then Whitehead. Oh my goodness. So the order: Grant Riddall wins. Tiago Canola is second.
Watch out for Juha Boss and Mick Chapman because their rival is also hot.
Oh my goodness. Miller going off the track.
Juha runs out of the track.
Juha ran out of the track.
To Thesarius.
Man, he did. He lost a position to him. Yeah, Grant wins. Tiago second. John Teeman, an excellent drive in third place. Steve Parker fourth. Jonatan Acerclinth fifth. Fantastic result, Jonathan. Congratulations.
I'm really happy.
Gabriel Stir, with low hopes going in, so that must feel real good. Gabriel Stir in a great drive, sixth. Peter Hlavik, after a very eventful race, seventh. Jason Whitehead, eighth. Dave Miller finishes ninth after some hair-raising final laps, and Ray Berdahl, last paid position in 10th place. 11th, Mick Chapman. 12th, Cesarius Lipinski, who passed Juha Boss at the end. Juha finishes 13th. 14th for Lucas Vidra. 15th for Michael Griffiths. 16th for Francois Remen. 17th for Gerard Rion. 18th for Timo Vermeersch. 19th for John Cook. And I believe we're leaving this session, so we can't see the rest of that. But, I still have my final lap graphic up. Sorry. The race is most definitely over, and lo and behold, we didn't have any, at least it appears, that there isn't going to be massive cleanup for the admins on the results after this. Whatever was causing that before, I guess, has been exercised, or excised from the, it's not an exorcism, from the mod itself, but an interesting race to start with, guys, especially up front, and there were some really, really interesting battles towards the end at the back. But I think the larger picture, this definitely means that it's going to be a battle for the championship between Tiago and Dave, I would think. Is that what you guys are thinking, or do you think that it may be more detrimental than that?
Yeah, so at this point, I think that the championship, well, it would be hard to bet against Grant.
Yeah, very hard.
You can always find 1 or 2 guys in Las Vegas who would do it, but
yeah. Let me have a look at the points real quick as far as the rules go. First place in the points gives you 20 points. Second place is 15. So with that in mind, looking at the points that we have now, he had 20 points to Grant's total. He has 92 now. David Jakes didn't score any points, so he has 40 still. Tiago Canola, 15 plus 39, and I'm showing everybody worldwide how bad my mental math is. This is why I can't go to Vegas and do good at 21. 39 plus 15 equals 54 points. So it's still mathematically possible for Tiago to win the championship, but he would have to have a really lucky streak of Grant having problems. So it looks like that's what it's going to come down to between those two, unless something catastrophic happens to either of them.
Yep.
So that was round 5 at Brands Hatch. Let's see if there's anybody in the green room. Surprise, surprise, nobody is in the green room. So we will probably close out the broadcast. Any final thoughts from Jonatan or Alberto?
No. Not especially. We know that, well, what this race has done is, as you have already calculated, is the championship has very much fallen into the clutches of Grant Riddle. We'll see how it happens. But, well, eventful races ahead still, because, you know, even if Grant is leading, the rest of the field are really having big scrapes on each race.
And Jonathan, any closing thoughts before we leave the broadcast?
That was a very hectic one in terms of the racing. Yeah, looking like even though the championship might have been decided, the racing will remain very, very good indeed. And hopefully someone will be able to, if not take the championship fight to Grant, at least give him a fight in the races, which both Thiago and David were able to do for some time in the race.
Mm-hmm. Well, we want to remind everybody, and I believe that U-Haul will be putting up the race thread for the next Sunday event, which is the Miller High Life 200 at Wisconsin State Philip Fair Park, West Allis, Wisconsin. Not exactly Milwaukee, but it is the Milwaukee Mile. That's next Sunday. I believe there are 2 cars available, the oh-so-quick Dale Coyne entry and one of the Dick Simon cars. So if anybody wants to pick up one of those choice rides, head on over to the forum and you'll have your opportunity. Then we go back BTCC racing on Wednesday, March 20th. Jonathan will be happy about that. And then following Sunday, the 24th, we go back Procar racing with the BMW M1s at Hockenheim. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Hopefully we'll have a really excellent 1 mile oval race next Sunday. Thank you very much to both of you for your help in broadcasting today. Hope everybody at home enjoyed. For Alberto Ibañez and Jonatan Acerclinth, this is Jason White saying so long from Brands Hatch. We'll see you next Sunday.